All right, welcome to Cleveland Heights City Council meeting. It is Monday, May 18th, 2026 at 7:38. Addie, would you please call the roll?
DeWitt Foy.
Here.
Cohen.
Here.
Stone.
Here.
Posh.
Here.
Cobb.
Here.
Kuda.
Here.
Larson.
Here.
All right, any amendments to the agenda? All right, hearing none. Approval of the minutes from previous meetings. We don't have any. All right, we do have a presentation though. Carolyn Barney is here from the Cedar Lee Special Improvement District, and she is the executive director of that district. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm here for the simple purpose of thanking the city for all of the help during the Cleveland International Film Festival this year. On behalf of the Cedar Lee Theater in our district, the Cedar Lee Special Improvement District, and the many building owners, business owners, and workers that make up our one magnificent mile in Cleveland Heights, we were proud to welcome back the film festival to where it started 50 years ago at the Cedar Lee Theater. And we couldn't have done it, and we couldn't have shined so bright without your help. There's a lot of people I want to thank tonight, and I hope I hit a lot of them. But you know, when the film festival has had a little bit of a roller coaster since it left Tower City, when they met with the district and with John and looked to bring it back to a vibrant neighborhood full of things to do outside of just watching movies. And we were ecstatic to be picked. We know we're a little bit of a construction zone right now, which is a good thing, but sometimes hard if you're not familiar with the district to get around. And we approached the city and were really overwhelmed by how many people jumped in and jumped on board with doing things little and big to make us shine for the film festival. So I want to thank Jim Streb, fire inspector, one of the most heartfelt communications we've received from the city, and really wanting to support, you know, coming from a fire a year ago to what we were able to do for the film festival in April. Chief Britton, we had cops on the streets, not only there to keep things safe, but also to welcome many people to the district. Anthony Ferroni, who helped out from Public Works on a lot of different efforts for the city. Andres Gonzalez, Parks and Rec. We love him helping hang banners and his team that put up parking signs for us to help visitors find parking in our district. All of the staff of those departments that did the work as well. I want to thank Julie Kaufman and Brian Anderson, who supported our businesses and really allowing them to shine during the event. They got engaged not only in providing specials to the visitors that came to the district, but some of them got involved with directors of films and held events like the Cheese Shop, who had 50 pounds of cheese delivered by the film director for an after party that was free for people to come and enjoy the district and have cheese. Michael Reese jumped in quickly and managed a long project list for us to get things done, so thank you, Michael. And even Mayor Jim was picking up garbage in the district at the last minute. Just every little bit mattered. And we put together a quick video once again to say thank you. Thank you for helping our district shine. We know when we partner together that keeping this momentum up and going in our district is important. So thanks again on behalf of the Cedar Lee Special Improvement District and John Foreman from the theater. Okay, Addie.
All right, well, thank you. And
We have video.
oh, we have video. Yeah, let's do it. All right.
Play.
Now, while we're waiting for the video, I, along with several members of the council, had been at the last SID meeting, and I have to tell you, the number of merchants that showed up and landlords and so forth, it just speaks of the vibrancy and the growth of the Cedar Lee district. I think we have a really bright future, and thank you, Carolyn, because you've been a great leader there. Oh, that's great.
Come back to Cedar Lee. We love the film festival. We love this neighborhood. This is so perfect, so convenient. We know this community loves independent film, and we're excited to be here.
Look at those lines.
Ed, where are you from?
I am from Rocky River.
And how has your experience been here at Cedar Lee Arts District?
Well, we've been coming all week, going back forth to downtown in here, and I got one of these early, and I ate at the bread place down the street and the Turkish place down the street. Of course, I don't remember their names, but great, and everything. The cheese place wasn't open on Monday. Stay open on Monday. But the big thing is we like to come to the theater here a lot, and we got free parking here. So free parking, keep it up.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
Thank you, Cleveland International Film Festival and the City of Cleveland Heights for helping our district shine.
Carolyn, thank you so much. I do have a question for you. Is there any possibility to come back next year?
We hope so. John will be meeting with the film festival. I believe it's this week. And we hope to talk to them quickly thereafter just to see what we can do. Hopefully to even make it bigger. There was room to expand it for a subsequent year in terms of theater space. So we're hoping not only that it comes back, but it could be bigger and better than ever next year.
Thanks.
I just wonder in your conversations if you may want to just throw, like maybe you can use the high school auditorium. They've got a lot of auditorium spaces at the high school, which is right across the street if you're looking for some overflow. Just a thought.
All righty. Well, thank you for that. Communications from the mayor?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to begin by sharing some unfortunate news with folks. About a month ago, there was a house fire in Cleveland Heights. Some people may be aware of this. There were 4 children from the household that were hospitalized. And at the end of this last week, one of them unfortunately passed away. That child was a first grader at Noble Elementary. And while we have not had a chance to speak with the family, we've been in contact with the school district, and we're trying to learn how the city may be able to assist the family with this really unfortunate event. And so I'd just like to take a moment of silence, if we could, to recognize the passing of this person.
His name was Cortez.
Thank you. The city planned for its Juneteenth event to be on Sunday, June 14th. We recently learned that the city of Cleveland has decided to cancel its own Juneteenth event, which was scheduled for Saturday, June 13th. Part of the reason for us choosing Sunday the 14th was so that people could attend both if they'd like. There were previous years where events overlapped and attendance was not as good as it could be. And so we hope that by having ours on Sunday, people could attend both. But now, in light of the city of Cleveland canceling its event, we've decided to move ours up to Saturday, June 13th. So we've started to communicate that out. We'll continue to do that. Also, we have had a lot of communication over time with Layla Edwards' parents and agent, and I was really excited to finally speak with Layla directly myself this last week, and she confirmed that she would love for us to celebrate her with a parade. And so we met internally and identified a number of dates that we've proposed to her and look forward to being able to settle on something so that we can share that with the community, those plans with the community. In case folks have not heard, there is going to be an event on Wednesday, May 27th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the community center. The purpose of this meeting is to discuss the future of the South Rink. OHM Advisors, which is working with the city on the parks master plan, is going to lead this conversation. And so again, that is Wednesday, May 27th at 5 p.m. at the community center. And finally, this last week, we had a chance to meet with Congresswoman Brown's office. We met with them, I think maybe 2 weeks earlier, and we had a follow-up meeting to further discuss the Congresswoman's priorities. It was a very good meeting, and this is part of our work to put together a capital stack for renovating or rebuilding Cumberland. And so with that, concludes my remarks for this evening.
Thank you, Mayor. Communications from the city administrator. Michael Reese.
Thank you, President Kuda, Vice President Larson, members of council. I have just 3 updates this evening. First, the Coventry parking garage elevator. The elevator passed inspection today. It got moved from last week to today by the state, and it passed inspection and will be fully operational beginning Wednesday morning, May 20th at 6 o'clock a.m.
Are we going to have a ceremony?
See you out there with breakfast.
I mean, I would.
Secondly, I just want to take a moment to talk about an important issue related to the consent decree with the USPA and pertaining to sanitary sewer overflows. We had a meeting last week involving Public Works, Law, Finance, Communications, and the Mayor's Office on the consent decree. We know that further investment will be needed in the coming years to respond to it. We are working really hard to get everyone on the same page about thinking and acting proactively when it comes to community outreach and education related to consent decree, including looking at other cities' best practices. So we'll look forward to giving City Council an update at the appropriate time on that. Third and finally, the Hillside Dairy abatement and demolition, which the mayor will be reading into the record. Regarding the project, bids came in lower than we expected, with the lowest bid at just under $500,000. This precise amount is $498,875. We are expecting something in the $700,000 range. So this is really good news. Regardless, we will be requesting a budget amendment for the June 1st City Council meeting on this matter. The amount will be $298,875. However, we will be reimbursed for $226,875 of this amount from the state land bank grant we received, state land bank grant. Thus, only $72,000 will come out of unencumbered cash in 2026. So if you follow the math, basically, $72,000 is going to come out of unencumbered cash in 2026. So we're very excited to continue to move this project forward and make it a priority that the mayor and council have put at the top, as well as the community. And that's the conclusion of my report. Be happy to answer any questions.
Yes, go ahead.
Just want to thank you. I think this is the first time since we began this year that we got good financial news, that we're saving money. So thank you. Really appreciate that.
Welcome.
Anybody else? I had a quick question. I forgot to ask this when Director Brzezinski was in the room, but are we on track to turn in our financial audit materials at the end of this month?
I believe so. I'll have to confirm with the director, but when I talked to him about it a couple of weeks ago, we were on track. So I'm pretty confident that we are, but let me get back to you on a definite.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else? All right, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Yes.
If I could read into the record that on May 14, 2026, 4 bids were received for Project 2603 Hillside Dairy Public Works Yard Improvements Project. The lowest and most responsive bid was from Pro Quality Demolition with a bid of $386,783 for abatement and demolition and $112,092 for fencing and landscaping for a total bid of $498,875. The bid results for all bidders are as follows. Again, Pro Quality Demolition, the total was $498,875. Eagle Abatement, $413,160 for demolition and no bid for fencing and landscaping. Northeast Ohio Trenching, demolition, $527,031 and $155,871 for fencing and landscaping for a total of $682,902. And finally, Platform, where demolition would be $594,937 and fencing and landscaping would be $138,838 for a total of $733,775. Thank you.
You need a motion on that, Mayor?
This is just reading into the receive back.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Director Ryan Prosser was on the agenda, but couldn't make it tonight, so we're rescheduling that information technology report for June 1st. Report of the Clerk of Council.
I would just like to notify council that I have received a notice to legislative authority from the Ohio Department of Liquor Control for the transfer of a C2X C2 liquor permit from Unger's Kosher Bakery, Inc. to Unger's Venture, LLC, located at 1831 South Taylor Road. This matter will be referred to the mayor and chief of police.
Thank you. We have public comment now. How many do we have for agenda items? Just one. All right, 3 minutes. State your name and the city you live in, and then we'll do the other public comment after we read the legislation.
Davita Russell.
Who?
Good evening, Mayor, President of Council, Mr. Kuda, Vice President Larson, and all my council members. First of all, I want to thank you very much for bringing legislation 106, 2026 forward. I am here to ask you to send it not only for first reading, but for passage. Second, I want to thank Mayor Petrus for acknowledging my work on this legislation at the State of the City address, as well as the splash pad. My disappointment was, and I know it has nothing to do with you all, it was explained to me by President Kuda that my name could not be on the legislation moving forward because it's only for current council members. That is something that needs to be looked at the charter, and I'm going to tell you why. Because there are a lot of council members here and the mayor, and you may start something in the future or in the past. I've worked on that piece of legislation for almost 7 years. 7. And that becomes part of your history of being on council. So once you leave and it goes into someone else's name, it seems like you never did the work at all. So to be able to, council members here, to have projects moving forward and to be able to leave council, you want your legacy to stand that these are things that you actually put in place and that you actually accomplished. So that's my disappointment. But I know you all have nothing to do with that. But to make things right, I hope you will pass this legislation today moving forward. I will be back. I'm watching you all. And you all know I won the primary, so let me say that first. And I've been talking with the mayor, and we're going to be doing some wonderful things moving forward. And so you have my support, and hopefully I will continue to have yours. Thank you so very much, and I'll be back when it's time for the splash pad. And I am so happy to know that the dairy is finally going to be gone, and that's another project I worked on for a very long time. So thank you so very much for all you've been doing, Mayor Petrus, and thank you, Council, for what you are doing as well.
Never gave us your name and address.
Oh my gosh. Well, I am former Councilwoman Davita Russell, and my address is Upper Finley, Upper Finley Road, where Tony lives on Lower Finley. Thank you so very much.
You know the rules.
Nice, Lisa. All right, we're going to move on to legislation. This is the first readings for consideration for adoption.
I have resolution number 100-2026 on first reading, a resolution declaring the necessity of assessing a portion of the expense of street lighting and declaring the necessity this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Petrus. I believe you guys were holding off on this one and the next as well. I have resolution number 101-2026 on first reading, a resolution declaring the necessity of assessing a portion of the expense of improving streets and parkways, including grading, draining, curbing, paving, repaving, repairing, sweeping, or cleaning thereof, removing snow therefrom, and planting, maintaining, and removing shade trees thereon, and declaring the necessity this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Petrus.
So I'll just interject that we are going to take those up next time for second reading.
I have resolution number 102-2026 on first reading, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with GPD Group for construction management and observation services relating to the 2026 road program, and declaring the necessity this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Petrus.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Next, I have resolution 110-2026 on first reading, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with OHM Advisors for engineering design services for the Taylor Road TLCI project, and declaring the necessity this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Petrus.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. We're going on to first readings now.
I have resolution 103-2026 on first reading, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Friends of Kane Park to support Kane Park programming for the 2026 and 2027 seasons, introduced by Mayor Petrus.
The chair would entertain a motion to table this.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Then, well, I'll just say that this is just because we have a few odds and ends to clean up on that. So we'll take that up again at the appropriate time. Go ahead, Addie.
I'm
sorry.
Yes,
we do have to vote on.
Yeah, you need to vote on
tabling
the
it?
motion. Yep.
Yeah, sorry. All in favor of tabling this 103, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion passes.
Next, I have resolution number 104-2026 on first reading, a resolution accepting a grant from the Ohio Department of Public Safety's Office of Criminal Justice Services, Ohio Body Worn Camera Grant Program, authorizing the use of grant funds and authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Motorola Solutions for body worn cameras, and declaring the necessity this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Petrus.
We have a motion?
These are for first.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm terribly sorry. Go ahead.
But Council President, if I could, just to state that I, on the advice of my company's ethics department, I'll be recusing myself from the discussion and the vote on this matter.
Thank you.
Next, I have resolution number 105-2026 on first reading, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Wade Trim, Inc. of Ohio for professional design, engineering, and associated services relating to the mitigation of illicit connections in the Overlook Road area and control of sanitary sewer overflow CH-46, and declaring the necessity this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Petrus. Next, I have resolution number 106-2026 on first reading, a resolution authorizing a grant agreement with the Taylor Merchants Association and declaring the necessity this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Councilmember Cohen.
All right, we're gonna, before we move on to second readings, I'm not gonna make a motion for this week, but I will when we take that up for second reading. I'm talking about 106. To add, whereas former Council Vice President Davita Russell provided leadership and vision in the creation and development of the Taylor Merchants Association, helping to foster collaboration among local businesses and support economic vitality within the community. So I will be asking to add that to this legislation when we vote on this on June 1st. Second readings?
I have resolution number 095-2026 on second reading, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with the Northeast Ohio Area-Wide Coordinating Agency for the design and installation of 8 DC fast charger electric vehicle charging points at City Hall and the Cleveland Heights Community Center, introduced by Mayor Petrus.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Go ahead, Councilman.
This is long overdue. The city has no public charging stations, and there's a significant number of people now in the city that do have electric cars. So I'm glad that we're finally going to have this here in Cleveland Heights.
Anybody else? All right.
Mr. President, if I
Yes.
could,
Oh, yes.
just to reiterate, the city's receiving over $500,000 in grant money to assist with this.
Wonderful. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Next, I have resolution number 096-2026 on second reading, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for the continuation and expansion of the citywide food scrap composting program through Rust Belt Riders Composting LLC, introduced by Mayor Petrus.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Councilwoman Larson, you don't have to.
Well, I'm excited that this is no longer a pilot program and that it is a part of the operations of the city of Cleveland Heights to give people the opportunity to compost their waste in a program that is working really well. People are pleased with the locations that are set up, and we're moving forward to the next step. So thank you, Mayor, for doing that.
Well, we really appreciate your leadership on this. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. On to the consent agenda.
I have 3 on our consent agenda tonight. First, I have resolution number 107-2026 on first reading, a resolution declaring June 2026 to be LGBTQ Pride Month and declaring the necessity that this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Petrus and all city council members. I have resolution number 108-2026 on first reading, a resolution proclaiming June 5th, 2026 to be National Gun Violence Awareness Day in the city of Cleveland Heights and declaring the necessity that this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Petrus and all city council members. Finally, I have resolution number 109-2026 on first reading, a resolution recognizing May 17th through the 23rd, 2026 as National Public Works Week and declaring the necessity this legislation become immediately effective as an emergency measure, introduced by Mayor Petrus and all city council members.
All right, can I have a motion to suspend the rules?
Motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Now we vote on the legislation?
I need a motion in a second.
Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
Very good. Any discussion? I'll just say on behalf of Colette Klingscale, our Public Works Director, she really deserves this recognition, and we really appreciate everything she does. And with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Now we're on to committee reports. Who would like to go first? I'm going to look right this time. Go ahead, Councilman DeWitt.
So I'll highlight that the Parks and Rec Advisory Board will meet this Wednesday, May 20th at 6 p.m. at the Community Center. And then to reiterate what the mayor had said earlier, an open house Future of the South Rink will take place at the Community Center on Wednesday, May 27th from 5 to 7. So please come out, learn more about options, and discuss with council members and others what's possible. Thanks.
Please.
I would like to thank members Gil Larson and member Joe DeWitt Foy in my absence next week at the Finance Committee and the Health and Public Safety Committee. They will be leading those 2 committee meetings, and that's going to be during sort of like the council meeting as a whole, now new committee structure, but that'll be on the 26th, the evening of the 26th.
Go ahead, Council Vice President.
I agree to do that if I get a postcard.
You get 2.
All right.
Even better. I do have a report.
I'm sorry.
The next meeting of the Climate and Environmental Sustainability Committee is tomorrow, Tuesday, May 19th at 4 p.m. Next meeting of the Transportation and Mobility Committee is May 27th at 7 p.m. And the next meeting of Municipal Services and Sustainability Committee is June 8th during Committee of the Whole. Thank you.
Sure. Councilwoman
The meeting
Stone?
of the Housing and Building Committee will take place during the Committee of the Whole on Tuesday, May 26th.
Thank you.
So at the last Committee of the Whole meeting, we did discuss the proposed Landmarks Commission review and update of their governing ordinance. We had a really great discussion about different policy issues that members of council brought up, as well as the law department, that we gave the law department some instructions of what direction we'd like to go, and we will be getting another draft at some point, but we'll have an update on the progress of this on our June 15th Committee of the Whole meeting prior to that June 15th council meeting. I would just ask Council Clerk, I believe we had meant to post the Landmark Commission ordinance draft and the memo on that Committee of the Whole site. So if we could do that, I did get a couple questions about that. And then looking forward to the 26th, we are going to have a brief part of the Committee of the Whole agenda with presentations from Start Right, CDC, Future Heights, very brief presentations, and hopefully YRM on the progress of their infill housing initiatives. So we're looking forward to that. And the last thing is the ADU public hearing. It was in the newsletter this past Friday. Thank you very much to the communications team for getting it in there. June 2nd at 5:30, we'll be in the atrium. There'll be a half an hour of time where people can come and see the ADU designs that were part of the ADU design competition. At 6 p.m., we'll be convening a meeting of the Planning and Development Committee meeting here in council chambers, but really that's just a way for us to have a public hearing. We're going to have the planning staff present on ADUs and all the work that's been done so far, and then we'll have public comment, and then the planning staff will be here after that to answer questions and also to answer questions when we're all together for the committee meeting. So I hope everyone that's interested in ADUs, accessory dwelling units, will come out on June 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Okay, very good. All right, we'll move on now to public comment, general public comment. How many do we have? Okay, so unlike Davita Russell, you guys are all going to say your names and your address, and then we'll have 3 minutes.
CJ Nash.
CJ Nash, Vandermar Street, Cleveland Heights, Ohio. I just want to make sure, I know all you know, but I know there are a lot of people who don't. We've got a Culver's coming in at the corner of Mayfield and Noble at the lot where they wanted to put 9,000 pump gas station a few years ago. Thank goodness that all changed. But there is a meeting this Wednesday in the community center at 7:30, and the owner of Culver's is going to be there to give a presentation and let us know what the plans are and answer questions that the public may have. And he's bringing free ice cream. So yeah, free ice cream is good. And I lived down the street from a Culver's when I was in Wisconsin. It's daggone good ice cream, really good ice cream. So Wednesday, 7:30, I hope people come to the community center to hear what he's got to say, and he will be able to answer your questions. Thank you.
Mike Gaynor.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for allowing me this time. I live at 2412 Euclid Heights Boulevard in Cleveland Heights, and I've served on the Planning Commission for the past 10 years, the last 6 under Council Member Cohen, and the 4 before that under Craig Cobb, who was the chair before her. And I want to talk about Planning Commission business a little bit here and advocate for a public sidewalk on Warrensville Road. Mayor Petrus and I had an opportunity to talk about this in January, and this is really a public safety issue that I think is very, very important. For those of you who are familiar with that stretch of the road, there's no sidewalk from the beginning of the Hebrew Academy School property, used to be the Oakwood Country Club, all the way south to the shopping center district that we have there. And we had a pedestrian fatality there 2.5 years ago. And after that happened, the commission went back and we relooked at our decision to allow that development to go without requiring a sidewalk. It wasn't codified at the time, and decided to prepare a memorandum, of which I distributed to council a couple of years ago and had meetings with the prior mayor, but didn't go anywhere. And so this time I've started things off meeting with Jim and bringing everybody on council up to date with what I want, because there are 3 very important reasons that this needs to get done. It's a public safety issue. Number 1, we are a community proud of our walkability and our cycling and all of these kind of things. And we've been missing that sidewalk for as long as all of us have lived here. And it needs to be done now to link our east side and our north side neighbors to all the very popular shopping districts at the south end of Warrensville Road there. The other reason, this has been a very overdue project for the neighborhoods over there to provide the kind of safe mobility that they need. And then lastly, I just want to point out, we're talking about the Culver's Dairy potentially coming and so forth. Putting that sidewalk from a development perspective, for all the things that we're trying to do on the east side of town up there on Mayfield Road, this is a great selling tool for developers if they want to build new residences up there, to be able to show prospective financiers and builders and so forth that when you have that kind of walkability right there where you want to develop properties, it's another incentive for people to come here and redevelop this land, like the dairy we just took down and so forth. It will contribute to that vitality. So I thank you for listening. I've brought copies of the memo that we put out a couple of years ago. I'm going to leave with the clerk, and I'll also leave some for anybody in the public that would like to have one. So thank you for your time.
Allison Height.
Good evening. My name's Allison Height. I live on 3427 Ormond Road in Cleveland Heights. I'm a parent of a Cleveland Heights University Heights student, and I was at the school board meeting a few weeks ago, and now I'm here to urge you sincerely to think of creative ways to increase your support for the public schools. One specific item that is near and dear to my heart is the public preschool program. I have a 2.5-year-old who I would really like to send to the public preschool program. But recently the district eliminated its full day 3 to 4-year-old preschool program. So I cannot choose a public program for my son because I work full time, my husband works full time, I don't have family nearby, I can't cobble together something to happen at 11:30 every day and all day on Fridays. And I appreciate that there are limitations as to what the city can do to support the public schools financially with resources, but I do think that there are creative ideas potentially that I would love for you all to entertain. So specifically with the preschool program, there's a lot of alignment, right? So the city has an interest in the public health components, the childcare infrastructure, parks and recreation, equity. So there are thoughts about what could the city do. One option I thought of and discussed last at the school board meeting is an extended day program. So this school district provides educational programming in the morning, and then there's an extended care program in the afternoon, which is something that you could charge for because it's not legally required services. So the district can sort of take care in the morning, provide anything that's necessary for like a student with a disability in the afternoon as well. But otherwise, it's something that is extra. It's like daycare pretty much. Could this be housed at the community center? Could this be part of the South Rink? Think of the intergenerational programming that could be available. You could have seniors come in and do story time at the community center. Could Kane Park have a outdoor preschool educational learning center for the preschoolers? When the city can take care of that part of the programming, they can take care of utilities, maintenance, janitorial services. The Parks and Rec Department can take care of the play area, and then the school district can be responsible for the educational components and anything else that would be necessary, but it would lower the burden for the school district. So I urge you to try to meet with University Heights City Council to think of creative ways to reinstate this program. The school board last meeting talked about how they wish they had a stronger partnership with the city. I will volunteer my time any way that's possible to support this. And I know there's lots of other creative ideas, so I hope we can find a solution.
Thank you, Allison. I have a quick question for you. So the 21 or so odd people that were furloughed by the school board?
yeah.
That was that's where the program got?
No, my understanding is from that meeting there were about 30 people that were RIF'd. None were part of the preschool program. This is like a reconfiguring of the preschool program. I've tried to get answers as to exactly why. I know there are limitations as to the space and the personnel, but this was an option last year. It's just gone away, and I'm not exactly sure why. Yeah, thanks.
Jim Nemistil?
Jim Nemistil, 2930 Edge Hill Road, Cleveland Heights, Ohio. First, Mayor, I'd like to say that Dennison Park looks really nice. They did a nice job. President Kuda, Mayor Petrus, Council, I'm going to speak plainly tonight. Horseshoe Lake Park is not a done deal. It's not approved by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, yet the City of Cleveland Heights website keeps telling the public the opposite. Your website says the project is moving forward. It says the plan is being advanced in coordination with the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District. To the public, it reads like a park is inevitable, a deal is done, it's going to be built. Like the Corps is a rubber stamp. It's like years of citizen objections never happened. And I'll tell you how it felt to many of us. It's like we're stabbed in the back, like the city quietly stepped away from its own residents and stood with the district and said, I'm not saying there was a quid pro quo. I'm saying that your message creates an appearance of one, and that appearance is corrosive. So now let's talk about the law and the public input. Under the Army Corps, under federal NEPA regulations, Title 33 of the Code of Federal Relations, Section 23010, the Corps must prepare an environmental assessment or a full environmental impact statement that examines the full range of reasonable alternatives and evaluate those environmental consequences. And the Corps requires public input at multiple stages: public comments, public review of alternatives, the public review of Corps' draft environmental document. Nothing can be finalized until the public has a real meaningful chance to weigh in. But the Corps cannot begin this process until the district submits a complete alternative analysis, including a no-action alternative with real data. This has not been done. And let's be honest, the Corps didn't impose this new standard by coincidence. They did it because the public, residents like those in Cleveland Heights, documented serious procedural failures by this district and others who weren't following the rules. People spoke up and the Corps listened. Which means this: anything the city does from this point forward to advance the park plan could be for nothing. Once alternative analysis is done, the Corps could choose a different option. The park could be changed, delayed, or scrapped entirely. The gaslighting and the illusionary truth being put forth by the sewer district is not acceptable. Let's talk about why the city is so eager to align with the district. Why is the city cozying up to the authority that has already led them down a primrose path? Why do they double down with a partner who's required federal intervention? And finally, the questions residents keep asking: why would you choose an agency whose core mission is building sewers to design a park? This is a fundamental mismatch and everybody sees it. Thank you very much.
Anthony Miozzi?
Hello, everyone. My name is Anthony Miozzi. I live on Meadowbrook. I'm going to start with a few questions. Does anyone up here want to give exactly how they got here today? What car they drove? What color their car is? Any dents or dings? Any bumps or scratches? No? Well, neither do I. So, as you can tell where I'm probably going with this, flock cameras record all of that, whether we like it or not. I know we're starting an amendment, look into it. I believe it or not, I do want to be safe. I do want to prevent crime. Flock Camera is a $1 billion company that records all of this data behind the public's back. Even though they say they're being honest with you guys, they're not. I ask this because my friend did a formal FOIA, whatever the local version of that is, FOIA for a different city, which I'm not going to name because that's the entire point of this. And they tracked him across 3 different cities under the guise that, the same guise that we have here, that they aren't doing that. They had the cameras at Home Depot, and again, I'm not going to say what city because Home Depot also partnered with Flock. They tracked exactly how fast he was going, which direction he was going, where he turned, when he stopped, and sometimes even if his light was out. I don't trust Flock. I'm pretty sure, like, we can say that pretty comfortably that's the case. I appreciate you guys taking a deeper dive into it. I heard that there might be a meeting coming up about that. I'm not sure if that's correct or not, but I really want, again, to just keep bringing up that there might be a different way that's not a billion-dollar company who thinks that anyone like me bringing up this problem is a terrorist. So thanks, guys.
Edgar Mitchell.
Edgar.
Good evening, Council. I'm Edgar Mitchell. You see me almost every meeting. And I just like to, I have positive things to say tonight because I'm very happy with the project that we had at 1062 Neely View. The project is well underway. It's not complete, but you can see that it's going to be a beautiful thing when it's over. Also, I want to thank Council for their input and everything they did to make this happen. Mayor Petrix, thank you for your input on that. You did a great job in helping me too with that. Also, the Human Resource Center here in Cleveland Heights and everyone that participated in this. I want to thank them once again. I can never thank you enough. I also want to thank the city for what it's doing about a lot of the potholes in the city. I don't care what kind of car you got, electric or gasoline, if you hit a pothole, it might mess it up. So some of the potholes are being worked on, and I thank the city for doing that. And hopefully we can get some more things going with that, because right down from Goodnoor, where I have a home, and where East Overlook runs into Goodnoor, there's a pretty bad pothole right through there. Anyway, thank you. God bless. And we work together. We'll get a lot of this done. Thank you.
Lou Radovojevich.
Thank you, Council. Mayor, Lou Radovojevich, Middlehurst Road. I just feel like I need to share my 2 cents on ranked choice voting. To me, I just feel like it is fundamentally a better way for us to run our democracy. Last fall, I spent a lot of time with you guys bantering about the charter amendment. I was in DeVita's camp of dividing the charter into chewable chunks. You all wanted an all or nothing type of campaign with the charter amendment. It never occurred to me, and I suspect many other residents, that ranked choice voting would never be on the ballot. It was just a function of when it would be on the ballot. So I'm just asking you to finish what you started and finish what you promised. The Charter Review was working on this for 2 years. You had hardworking neighbors. That's what I heard about. They were dedicated to this. Important enough to have 1 out of 5 buckets to be a part of ranked choice voting. Out of these 9 members, we had 6 of them who approved it. Only 1 of them did not like it, and the others abstained. That's a high majority. That might be even a super majority. To me, I just want to make sure that we understand ranked choice voting is not some novelty. It is significant. Why change the current way of voting? Some might say, it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I look at it and I see 70% of our voters consider themselves as independents. And we can't even get more than 2.5 people out of 10 to show up to vote. Not even 2.5 people to vote out of 10. That's a broken system. It seems confusing. If you're not willing to learn, just keep doing what you're doing and vote for 1 is what I would tell somebody. I like to dial in my vote. I like to tell you what my 2nd place vote is. I like to tell you what my 3rd place vote is. And I like to tell you, most importantly, who my last place vote is. If they're toxic, they're gonna know. I just see how it works for one position. People might say, I see how it works for a mayor. I see how it works for a governor. I see how it works for a senator. I see how it works for a president. But then he always come back, I don't see how it works for our council. And I look at that, are we seriously talking about just council, part-time roles? Yet we see the validation as a governor, a validation as a senator, a validation as a president, that this is a proper way of voting going forward. And certainly I hear about the state funding, the 2.1 million, I guess now it's 2.2 million. I don't know how we didn't have that conversation a year or 2 years ago. I think we would know that the state was going to bring some of that to the table. But I look at it and saying, hey, I don't think that is a done deal. I understand there's loopholes that we can go around and protect ourselves to that. And I also ask that is 2% of our annual budget. Maybe we need to focus a little bit more on how do we get from 100 million to 103 million, 105 million, and put our energy towards growing the city rather than figuring out how we're always saving money. And then I just say, Mayor, I mean, I know you're better than potholes. I know you're better than swimming pools. It's been a long time since Cleveland Heights took on a leadership role, and it should be you. Every city in the state is counting on us to show some courage and what home rule means. Ranked choice voting should be your legacy. Thank you.
Harriet Applegate.
The mayor would like to say something.
Just like to say that I personally am a big proponent of ranked choice voting. I actually, when it was being considered in University Heights, organized voter outreach efforts there, door knocking. So I'm a big proponent, but the reality is that this is a council function.
Harriet Applegate, 1522 Crest Road. I want to ditto everything that Lou said, maybe expand a little bit on that, but I want to express my great disappointment in you as a group and you as individuals. I've been working on this. I've been working actually active around ranked choice voting since 1994. There were a couple campaigns, and since Cincinnati used it for 25 years. And during that time, it was considered one of the best governed cities in the country by Forbes magazine. It's a really good system. Its time has come. It is now. Ranked choice voting is you can almost say it's a trend. It's so much of a trend. It's being adopted by progressive cities and states around the country, such to the extent that ALEC took it upon itself, the American Legislative Exchange Commission, the right-wing group that writes legislation for all the states that Republicans control. They made it. They put on a campaign to get states to say that it's illegal. Just giving you a little background that you may or may not know. So you've got the far right of this country actively working to destroy the prospects of truly what is a movement around the country for ranked choice voting. And so we don't exist. Cleveland Heights is not in a vacuum. We're a part of a county, of a state, and of a nation. And it's important to put ourselves in that context. We are not just this little island of a very well-governed city that fixes all its potholes and does everything right. We exist in a much larger context. As you may, I hope you understand, reform comes from the grassroots and goes up. It does not trickle down. And you can't get reforms if you don't start at the local level. So proponents of ranked choice voting all across the country start at the local level. Now, you might not think that it would make a difference in Cleveland Heights City Council. None of us can say whether it would or not. You know, I can see, for instance, if ranked choice voting were in place right now, we might have 2 members of the Orthodox community on this. We might have a socialist on this council. We might have any number of things, because that would reflect this city. And as you know, and all of us know, this city is chock full of people who are engaged not just at the local level, but at the state and national levels as well. And we care about things, not just potholes, we care about politics. Our politics is broken. Ranked choice voting is one of the best ways to uplift and improve politics in the United States, in the state of Ohio, the county of Cuyahoga, and the city of Cleveland Heights. So I wish you could, appreciate the context of of all your worries about, what was it, 1%, 2% of the budget? Really, I mean, this is an important political reform. It's an important way to make our country, our state, and our city more democratic. And God knows we need these kinds of reforms at this point in our history. We got a broken system. This is one of the ways to fix it. Thank you.
That's all we have.
All right, thank you. As by the way, very thoughtful comments as usual tonight. Old business? New business? Mayor, I just have a quick question for you under new business. I don't know if this actually belongs here, but so Memorial Day, we're doing a celebration.
Yes.
I guess my question is, how do we get vets there and, more people? Because it's a wonderful event, but, how can we get attendance up, especially among veterans?
We've been actively working on this. So we have a weekly Friday call on this event. And we have worked with a number of local veterans to come up with ideas for how to improve this event. And so I think that this year's event will be one that we should be proud of.
And it is a week from today at what time?
Let me check the time real quick.
Might as well do a little advertising.
I apologize. I'm not finding it immediately, and I don't want to misspeak. Michael, do you happen to remember the time? I think that I know what time, but I don't want to misspeak.
Okay, but it will be on the city's website.
Yeah.
Correct? All right. Well, thank you. Move on to council member comments. Who would like to go first or go at all? Actually, I shouldn't assume you have comments to make, but Councilman Posh.
I just want to talk about ranked choice voting here for a minute. And I hope anybody that is concerned about, I think, council's, I don't want to say decision, but feeling that it really can't move forward at this time on it, they go back and they listen to the meeting that we had an hour and a half ago and the passionate comments that my peers made about it. I mean, I think the general feeling is we love the idea, we want to do it, but the penalty that the state could put on us is a couple $1 million. I mean, that's a big ask. And we'd be, the second city in Ohio that does it? I mean, it's not like there's a groundswelling interest in adopting this. I mean, if there was a way to do a constitutional amendment and do it right so we can have this statewide, I think that would be a wonderful thing. I think it's a better way to cast your ballot. But I just personally, as a council member, can't see us forfeiting $2+ million, plus working with groups like ODNR that give us their advice and help for free, and hopefully can help us with Shaker Lakes and stuff. I mean, I just think it's too much of a risk at this point. And the lawyers that are advising us are agreeing with that. So I think that's where we stick right now. And I'm sorry that people are disappointed about it. I don't think it's basically on the merits of ranked choice voting. It's really based on the penalty that the state legislature is putting on cities like us. I mean, they're the ruling party and they're ruling on us right now. And I don't see us, I just don't see any other alternative at this time.
All right, any other council member comments? Councilman Cohen?
Refer the public back to our committee of the whole meeting for the fuller discussion, but I do want to make clear, which wasn't mentioned earlier, that the penalties we were discussing are the result of the passage of Ohio Senate Bill 63, which was passed this past March and signed on March 17th, 2026. So the current legal and financial landscape that we are working in right now changed just 2 months ago. And for those that ask, why didn't we think about this earlier? That's why. And I think I can speak for myself in that I was more favorably disposed to the idea and eager to learn more and to potentially put it on the ballot. But given the current legal status of that there is now a state law that prohibits ranked choice voting, and given the potential fiscal financial loss of not only the local government funds, but any costs of litigation that might have to follow, which is very likely, I can't in good conscience, given my fiscal responsibility to the city, support this now. If the legal landscape changes, I'm open to reconsidering, but currently right now that's where I am. Thank you.
Other comments from council? All right, well, I'm going to talk. Okay, go ahead.
Apologize. Addie, with her help, identified that the event starts at 10:30 a.m. on Monday.
Glad to hear that. Okay, 10:30 a.m. for the Memorial Day celebration. At
the Veterans Memorial at the intersection of Cumberland and Mayfield.
right across from the rec center.
Correct.
All right.
Thank you.
Very good.
Mr. President?
Yes.
If I might, on the question of the ranked choice voting and the penalties, as the council has discussed in the past, I just wanted this to be clear based upon some of the comments. And I think the comments that members of council made a couple hours ago capture this correctly. But there are arguments that the penalty might not apply to a charter municipality exercising its home rule authority and having ranked choice voting occur via a charter amendment. Unfortunately, it seems equally clear, so there are arguments, it seems equally clear that the penalty, I think, is probably constitutional in terms of how it could apply if it were triggered. And what's not known is how the Secretary of State might approach this, how courts might approach, evaluating the Secretary of State's determination if this litigation that was mentioned were to come about. And, there's no clear answer that says the city could do this, could provide for this, and be free from the risk of losing those local government funds.
Thank you. All right, so I really feel compelled to talk about ranked choice voting. My colleagues have spoken about it. I have a different take than some of my colleagues. And I do think that because of the passion, I certainly owe an explanation about where I'm at. So first, I would like to say that I do appreciate the ranked choice voting advocates. They've shown a lot of passion for that. And that type of dedication should always be commended. I want to again commend the work of the Charter Review Commission, although I wouldn't characterize their vote the way Mr. Radovojevich did, because there were members who just thought they didn't know exactly how they felt about it, but they thought it should move forward, which is different than being an advocate. I do appreciate their work and where they landed. And it is the reason we have a much improved charter today, the work of the Charter Review Commission. But at the end of the day, I have to be convinced that every charter amendment that council puts on the ballot is in the best interest of Cleveland Heights. That's in our oath of office. And in this particular case, I have to be convinced that the way we vote now would be improved by ranked choice voting. And after giving this matter a lot of thought, I'm not convinced. I don't think the way we vote now is problematic. I believe eliminating the primary election for mayor is problematic because it removes what I believe to be an essential part of the process. The second round of scrutiny that happens after a potentially crowded field of candidates is whittled down to 2. It's a completely different animal when you have 10 people running and then when it's whittled down to 2 people. That 7 weeks that follows the primary allows our residents to focus on the 2 top vote getters and make a side-by-side comparison. I think we need more scrutiny in our elections, not less. You eliminate an election, less scrutiny. I believe eliminating the primary gives us less than what we have now. I also do not believe this council or any council should put any charter amendments on the ballot without doing what last year's council did. You cannot forecast what another council will do. So what did we do? We scrutinized every charter amendment recommended by the Charter Review Commission. Some we decided not to put on the ballot, even though they were recommended. We didn't put them on the ballot. Many, if not most, we modified in some way or another. Some we put on the ballot as is, and then council put some amendments on the ballot that the Charter Review Commission did not even consider. Regarding ranked choice voting, we went through a process. We listened at forums that were held by ranked choice voting advocates. We studied the issue by researching. There's no shortage of information on the internet, and we held a hearing and asked questions right in this council chamber. This council gave more time to this issue than any other single recommendation by the Charter Review Commission. At the end of the day, you have to have 5 votes to put a charter amendment on the ballot, and you have to have public support. I have not seen a significant amount of support from council or from our residents. That in no way diminishes the effort put forward by the ranked choice voting advocates. I would just like to think that we simply have a difference of opinion on this issue. Again, thank you all for coming to this meeting. This meeting is adjourned at 8:43.